Code it now. Write a program that allows the user to select a numbered pet theme screensaver they wish to use. Depending on what the user selects, the description should be printed to the screen. Alright, so for this, it seems like we're going to want to accept user input. So we should definitely take a file that has our scanner imported already. So we're going to go back to test25.java and we're going to copy the contents of this file since it has the scanner code. Control C. Then we're going to do a Control N for a new file, hit enter to select Java as a default, and then a Control V. And then we're going to change the name of this. So we don't want test25 anymore. Now we want, I guess we could describe this as PetHobbies maybe. So PetHobbies. We got to change the name of the class declaration as well. For this, we're going to need the scanner object. So we're going to keep the code for that. And we're going to get rid of everything else in the main method since we don't need everything else. And that should be everything. Perfect. And we want to get rid of this because this comment isn't relevant anymore, but we're going to add our own new comment this time. So what we want to do is we want to ask the user to select a numbered pet theme screensaver they wish to use. So let's see. Ask the user to select a numbered pet themed screensaver by typing in either 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so our scanner object is already defined. Scanner in equals new scanner system.in. So now we can go on to actually asking the user to type in either 1, 2, or 3. System.out.println. Please select your pet themed screensaver by typing in 1, 2, or 3. Then we can just put a colon at the end, close our quote, close our parentheses, and semicolon. Now we type in a new line, and we can accept their input, so we'll just call this int choice equals in.next int, and add a semicolon at the end. So now we have our user's input. Okay, so now the next thing we can do is we can add in our if, else code. So for this, we have to consider how many different scenarios we have. So we have scenario 1 where it's 1 and we print out a dog running in a field, scenario 2 with the cat, and scenario 3 with the fish. But in this case, there's actually a fourth scenario. And the fourth scenario is that the user completely ignores our instructions and decides to just type in something like 4 or dog or something that isn't 1, 2, or 3. So instead of just 3 types of conditionals we have to consider, we have 4 scenarios. So we're going to have an if, and I'm just going to write out the whole structure. I'm not going to start typing in what we actually need inside the ifs and the else ifs. So else if, so that's 1, 2, then we need our third one. For the fish, put a closing, curly brace, and then our very last one can just be an else. Okay, so now we can start filling in information. And before I do that, actually, I'm just going to add in a comment. So we're going to say print the pet themed screensaver that corresponds to the number provided by the user. Simple enough. Now we can start actually writing out our code. So if our choice, or if the user's choice rather, is equal to 1, make sure you indent, then that means we want to print out a dog running in a field. Close our parentheses, semicolon, okay. And then for our second one, choice equals 2. Again, make sure you indent. We're going to do a system.out.println to a cat chasing a laser pointer. Close our parentheses, semicolon. Now we can move on to our third choice. So choice equals 3, and make sure that when you're checking equality, you got to make sure to use these double equal signs. You don't want a single equal sign because then Java would get confused because you're trying to tell it to assign a value to choice, but you're inside an if statement, and that's very confusing. So you want to make sure you use the relational operator. So let's indent again. Do a system.out.println 3, a fish swimming around. Close our parentheses, semicolon. And now we have our fourth scenario. So this is the scenario where our user decides to not type in a number 1, 2, or 3. So for this, we can just print out a warning of sorts, system.out.println, and say no pet themed screensaver was output because you did not choose from 1, 2, or 3. Then we can close our parentheses and a semicolon. All right, and that is all of our code. So now we can save our code with Control S, accept the defaults, Control B to compile, and it compiled successfully, which is great. And then we can do a Control R to run the program. So here we see, please select your pet theme screensaver by typing in 1, 2, or 3. So let's pretend I'm a silly user and I decide to not follow the instructions and I type in 5. Let's see if our final else statement works. And there we go, it did work. No pet theme screensaver was output because you did not choose from 1, 2, or 3. Let's try that again, but this time let's not be silly and, actually choose a value. So Control R. So this time, let's say I like dogs, so I'm going to choose 1. And there we go. I got 1, a dog running in a field.